Oh my goodness me. Oh, and welcome to the channel. We have had an absolute roller coaster of weather recently over the past week or so. We've had snow flurries come in and settle on the garden. We've had storm winds racing through, ripping all the plants apart. We've had freezing temperatures down to about -2, -3 degrees Celsius. So a lot of our exotic plants that we've got in the garden have been absolutely ruined. And you might say, Simon, why have you left them in the garden? I said, well, there is reason to that. And to be fair, when you have a look around, all those key plants that we had out earlier in the year, they're all safely tucked away in either the greenhouse or the conservatory. So I'll show you the damage so you can share my pain. And then I'm going to tell you about the silver lining, because actually this is all quite useful. I'll tell you more after this bit. Now, everything that has been left out and damaged, I have deliberately left out for it to be damaged. Now, you might think that's reckless of me, considering the value of these plants, but some might think heartless, and you're perfectly welcome to put that into the comments. But to be fair, this is all part of the preparation for next year. I can't have everything protected and brought indoors, otherwise there'd be no room for me and my lovely wife Lorna. So I'm going to show you the damage, and then I'll explain my reasons why, and then what I'm going to do about it, and then it'll all become clear. Come on, let's start over here. So we've got these Ipomoeas, which are frost damaged, and these are annual. I don't really see any point in bringing these in. In fact, that actually has had a little bit of protection. It's still okay. Quite dry in the pot, so I might put a bit of water in there. I don't need to bring these in, and although I do like Ipomoeas, we thought I was going to get some better foliage colour, you know, because I mean, look, when we bought them in the pots, these look very different, but as you can see, they both look the same. So I'm happy for these to be frosted off and a replacement something different in the spring, so I don't really care about those. I left out this Fuchsia thalia. Now, I love Fuchsia thalia. It's believed to be one of the first plants that was discovered when the Spanish arrived on the island that was then called, after they discovered it, Hispaniola. So quite a historic plant, but very, very tender. And even if I lifted that, put that in the greenhouse, it will still die back if it gets too cold. And if I bring it indoors, it's just going to stretch out. It's going to get a lot of bugs on it, and it'll just be crap either way. So there's no point keeping that. So again, that's been allowed to die back. I'll replace that in the spring. And yeah, I've got this Aeonium. But I have so many of them. I just don't need to fill the greenhouse up with more flipping Aeonium. So if this goes, that's fine. I've got the parent plants tucked away lovely in the conservatory. I can always make some more cuttings, because believe me, I've got about 30 of these, and that is way more than I need. The state of that. Anyway, hardy banana, Musa Basju. Now you got to wait for the frost to start knocking on it so that the plant goes into dormancy. So now that it's got all this damage on it, what I'll be doing shortly is take my big blade out for it, and I'm going to slice it all across there, take all the tops off so there's no leaves, only stems. Then I'll put a rain cover, protective cold and rain cover on the top of that, and it'll stay like that until the spring when it starts to shoot out new leaves. Be honest with you, even if I cut that now, I'm still going to have new growth coming out of the centre. You just can't stop these things from growing until it gets really, really cold, but that'll be dealt with later. So this is one of the strelitzias. We've got about 4, although 3 now, and but for some reason all the new growth that was coming out, this was just coming out awful. I don't know what was wrong with it. It's absolutely ruined. There's no point trying to keep that for next year, because it's just going to look terrible. So this, I'm afraid, has been left outside as a sacrifice to the god of bird of paradise flowers. So I'm afraid, goodbye to you. You're just not good enough. So, but this is because I do have a saying. Do I mean saying, or is it a rule to live by? As far as I'm concerned, all of the plants in your garden that you put in there for ornamental value, they have to maintain that ornamental value. As soon as they lose that, because they've got to earn their place in the garden, then I'm afraid then they will go. I'm not just keeping plants for the sake of keeping plants, because garden space, our garden isn't particularly huge, so any garden space is precious, is valuable. So if the plant isn't working hard enough, then I'm afraid there's another one right behind you waiting to take your place. If you'd seen some of our earlier videos, you'd have seen what an impressive specimen this Brugmansia is. And you might say, Simon, why haven't you brought it indoors? Well, I will tell you why I haven't brought it indoors and why I've deliberately planted it here in this sheltered position. Now, I've kept Brugmansias for the past 5 or 6 years. Absolutely stunning plants. And yes, they are considered to be non-hardy, but for 3 years or so, 3-4 years, I've had them kept outside. And each year, I put protection on them, a bit of protection. So you need to put a dry mulch or some other protection for the root ball, and then put a bag over the top again to protect from the cold and too much rain. And each spring, you get a new shoot coming from the base. All the stems will die, so I'm not worried about that. All the branch work, the trunk, that'll all die. And then come the spring, from below the soil, you'll start getting these new shoots going through. So, assuming the weather isn't too cold, and we don't get it too cold down here, and assuming you've given it plenty of winter protection, there's every chance that these plants will come through, which is why this large specimen here that's in the borders was grown in a large pot last year and then protected in the house. But that was to establish a big root ball. So when it comes to putting it out into the garden, it already has a massive root ball. So this got planted out right at the beginning of the spring. So this will have a really large established root system under the ground. So I bought some bark chips. I'm going to do a few inches of mulch with those quite shortly, and hopefully come the spring, this will come back out again. In fact, you can even see now there's nothing wrong with that foliage. And I thought I saw some new growth coming through already. It just doesn't, just doesn't want to stop growing. And you see, I left my alocasia out because it just didn't perform. It did nothing all year. It put this out right at the end of the year, and I was expecting something to be about this high. So I'm afraid you are going to have to give up your spot. I'm going to put a bigger specimen in the spring because I want to get this massive leaf, big old leaf up here, and that didn't do it. It's still underneath here. It's no good. You're not pulling your weight. Now, if you've seen some of our earlier videos, I've been talking about this ginger lily. This is Hedychium coccinea, and we've had this out for about 3 years now. And all it's done is put out foliage, one big spike like this. So this is about 6 foot tall. This year is different. I wanted to lift it and hot house it in the greenhouse over the winter and next spring. So I've been waiting for the frost to hit it to knock it into dormancy, and then going to lift it. So in the next day or so, this is going to be lifted, it's going to be protected, and hopefully come next year, I might get a flower on it if I do my job properly. We'll find out later. Canna lilies, they've all been knocked back. This is one of my favourite ones. This is Cleopatra. It's got wonderful variegated foliage with this like chocolatey brown stripe on it. Really, really nice. Like a chimera. It's like they fuse or manage to fuse 2 tubers together from different cultivars and make this half and half mess. It's not a mess, it's beautiful. But down here on the south coast, I don't need to lift this up. So again, this will be cut back. It probably needs, do you know what? Probably needs a bit more cold on this to get it into dormancy. But when we do, they'll be cut back, mulch on top. That's that one done. The same goes to these dahlias, but these have had enough cold on them. The whole thing is absolutely, I won't say ruined, but this is ready to have all these stems taken down and protection put on top of there. So these are absolutely fine. And then next to it, we've got the triachiums, Echium pininana. Now, that's been ruined, that one. You can't, as soon as you lose the top crown here, that's it. Because any side shoots that come off here, when they mature next year in the spring, that'll be a weak point and they'll snap in like the smallest of winds. So that'll be thrown away. This one's still good, this one's still good, but we did have flipping caterpillar in there, and that's nice and dry actually. Now it looks like the damage from the caterpillars has allowed an infection to get in there, but do you know what, that's the crown again. That is the crown again. I think that is ruined. Flipping it, it's another one gone. Oh well, maybe that one will be alright for next year. This is Ricinus communis, and this is one of my favourite cultivars, which is Impala. Now usually, once it gets hit like this, I'll just rip it out and throw it away. But last year, where we had seeds actually survived the winter, we went down to about -4, -5. So I get seedlings coming back through again. So I'm going to leave this in place for now. I'm going to let it do its thing. I'm going to let it die back, throw these old these seed pods going to the bottom, and hopefully I'll get some free plants growing out from the base. I mean, I do have some more seeds anyway, so if that doesn't work, I'm going to propagate some more. But I love this, and this is why I'm going to leave this looking terrible for a couple more weeks till we get a proper cold snap. So this is a bit of a project plant that we've had for this is its second season now. We planted it last spring and it flowered last year. This year the weather just wasn't good enough, didn't warm up enough, didn't have enough sunlight, it didn't do very well, so it grew but no blooms. Although one stem did have some blooms on it, and then one of the apples from the apple tree hit it, snapped it, and then that was the end of that. So this year I'm going to cut it back and put a dry mulch. Did I tell you what this was? This Fuchsia boliviana, the Bolivian fuchsia. It's a bit on the tender side, but it lasted last year without any protection on the base. It's with the fuchsias, because they're sub-shrubs, they do have characteristics of both hardy shrubs and herbaceous plants. So a lot of the strength of fuchsias is in the root system. So if you can protect the root system, there's a good chance this will come back next year and hopefully get some flower on it this time. It's laziness, that's what it is. The tree dahlias, they've also been absolutely smacked by the cold weather, and of course yet again we get the flower buds, and just as they open up we get a hard frost and they're ruined. So another year has gone with no flowers on my tree. They're not as hardy as some of the other dahlias that we've got in the garden, so again we'll cut this back and we'll put a dry mulch in it, so bark chips again here. Now you could consider lifting the root system and then overwintering it somewhere frost free, but the thing is with the roots of these is that they are absolutely huge, which means if you're going to lift them and overwinter them, you need to get yourself a pretty big bin in order to accommodate the root system, and that then means you're going to buy a load of compost. It starts getting very expensive if you're going to try and lift and overwinter these, especially if you've got to buy the bin or a giant pot in the first place. It's cheaper to just replace them in the spring, but of course you want bigger and bigger specimens as the seasons progress. So what I do is I leave them in the ground, because just the very effort of lifting them out of the ground, you're going to snap a load of those tubers off, so you're already going to have a weakened plant for next spring. So leave them in place, put on a big thick layer of a dry mulch like your bark chips, and these will be sorted. At least they will be down here on the south coast. Further north you might need to do a bit more work. This is my Musella lasiocarpa. Again, this has been hit back by the frost, so like the other bananas, I'm going to take all these stalks back. I'm going to put a mulch on the base because the roots will need to be protected with this one, and I'm going to put a cover on the top to try and keep some of the cold off it. The thing with these is that you want them to flower, but it takes 3 to 4 years for them to get to a size where they can flower. So there's no point risking further cold damage by not protecting these properly. So thick mulch, bag over the top, and hopefully, see, look, we've got, oh, you know, we did all right. 1, 2, 3, 4 stems. We had 1 stem last year, got 4 stems this year. So hopefully we can grow from these existing stems rather than starting at the beginning that we did the previous year when it got way too cold for them. I think we had down to -7. It's too cold for them. That's another tree dahlia here, so like the other one, that would be cut back and mulched. This is our large banana. This one is going to get a pretty heavy cut. Now just look at that, see, it did flower, there's a fruit. So you can grow bananas in the UK, but this is going to get a heavy chop, basically because my equipment to support the canopy is only so high. So this will be a hard cut back to about 5 feet tall, and then we're going to put cold protection on the top. You don't need to put a mulch around the root ball here. These are root hardy, and you know, if you do a bit of research, you'll have people saying they'll go down to -12, some will even say -15, like Gardener's World magazine. But we haven't mulched these, they've been absolutely fine. We don't get anywhere near those cold temperatures, so it'll just be 4 posts and a protective canopy over the top to try and keep these big old pseudo stems intact for the spring, because although if they do die, we'll get new ones from the base like that one there, but I want these big boys still in place for next year. And last thing really is another canna. I do like this one, it's done very well this year. This is King, I think it's King Red or Red King Humbert. We'll cut that at the base, dry mulch. So that's all the damage we have incurred in our exotic garden. I'm not worried about any of that whatsoever. It needs to happen in order to bring these plants into dormancy, so you can start chopping them, mulching them, without them actually starting to grow back up again, because you don't want that to happen. So that's what I'll be doing over the next couple of weeks. So what I'd like to know is there anything that I've missed? Is there anything that you're doing that I should be considering doing in my garden? Or if you just wanted to have a little chat or put something in the comments, then do so. You are more than welcome. It's there for everybody to talk to everybody, and hopefully use it as a resource. If you've got great advice, put it in there, then we can all share in that advice. I'd really like that to happen. Anyway, before I go, just one last thing. It's all about how to support this channel. It's all absolutely free supporting this channel. So you watch that, I'll start doing some work. See you later. Merry Christmas. Right, now, just before you go, if you want to see more content, more behind the scenes stuff, and images that I've taken of some weird freaky plants over the years, then you're in luck, because we've created an Instagram page. So you can find the link in our description. You can find the link on our main page, and if I'm clever enough, I might be able to get a link somewhere up there. Anyway, thank you for watching, and if you want to see more YouTube stuff, then check out this video here. That's got a good one. And if it doesn't float your boat, then another one right there. And enjoy these while still got the strength, imagination and aptitude to make them. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.